What's up, folks? Today we're going to talk about your NEM 2.0 net metering agreement. Officially tonight, basically, is your last night. Once midnight hits, if you haven't submitted your application, you will be on NEM 3.0. Really, what I want to speak to you guys about is those of you that have submitted your applications, you want to understand specifically, whether you will or will not be approved. I imagine if you guys are homeowners, you guys are not submitting these applications on your own. So that means you're relying on somebody to submit these applications for you guys. So the first thing is really understanding what the requirements are, what will be accepted and not accepted. To be eligible for NEM 2.0, interconnection requests, applications, and all required documents must be submitted by no later than April 14th, 2023. Today is April 14th, 2023. Applications will need to be free of all major deficiencies to qualify. So there's a list of terms and things that they talk about as far as what would qualify, what would not qualify. Some of you guys may have just signed up for solar. And I'm speaking about this because a lot of homeowners out there are thinking about going solar, and NEM 3.0 is coming. It's not necessarily the most favorable terms. Everybody that is on NEM 3.0 will eventually get basically your savings for solar is going to be a lot less, by about 75%, what basically Edison's crediting you guys. Also, you guys could expect delays. The delays are going to be roughly around 30 business days. Prior to this, a few weeks ago, it was about 14 days of submittal time. So, if you submitted your paperwork recently, you may not know for 30 days. That includes if you update your NEM application. So really, you have tonight. If something's missing in the application, you guys want to make sure that you guys get this submitted. By the time you guys see this, time would have passed. Now, they're talking about major deficiencies. Your application will be approved provided there are no major deficiencies. So, question, how can I ensure my interconnection request, or IR, is deemed valid and qualifies for NEM 2.0? In December 15, 2022 decision, CPUC stated that customers will need to submit their NEM applications that is free of major deficiencies by the effective date deadline, which is April 14, 2023, to qualify for NEM 2.0. Applications submitted before the deadline will continue to be reviewed for NEM 2.0 eligibility. Minor deficiencies will not disqualify the project from NEM 2.0 eligibility. So the big thing here is going to be what is a major deficiency and what is a minor deficiency. We'll actually get into examples of a major deficiency and minor deficiencies here in a second. The next question is if my interconnection request is deemed valid prior to NEM 2.0 deadline, how can I ensure it continues to remain eligible for NEM 2.0? All right, and the answer is, if your application was deemed valid by SCE, your project will retain NEM 2.0 eligibility for up to 3 years. Any remaining documentation required for permission to operate, PTO, will need to be provided or corrected within a 3-year timeline. So that's definitely good to know. So if your application was deemed valid, anything that you need to correct, you have 3 years to modify it. But that's after it's deemed valid. Any modifications submitted after April 14th for an NEM project that has not been deemed valid needs to comply with the modifications allowed under NEM 2.0 to maintain NEM eligibility. So that's most people. Most people are submitting these applications. They haven't been deemed valid yet. That's probably the position most of you guys are in. The next question is, can you provide examples of major deficiencies that will prevent my interconnection request from being deemed valid and eligible for NEM 2.0? And that answer is, a major deficiency includes, but are not limited to the following: inaccurate customer information, the name of the customer or record, their address, service account number, and or meter number not matching the customer's SCE bill. So if you get your name wrong or account numbers or meter numbers inaccurate, that will be considered a major deficiency. So make sure you're not, your solar companies, you're looking at this information when they're sending it to you for your own verification purposes. Now, if you're sitting back and you're listening to this video and timeline has come and expired, you can still look back in your emails. You guys should still have a copy of the interconnection agreement. So look at this information. If you see any errors, or, you at least don't have to sit there and wait to know if you're going to qualify or not. You'll see the errors for yourselves. Another major deficiency would include also projects missing your single line diagram. So make sure you guys have your single line diagrams. Your stuff should have been submitted as soon as this has been submitted, as soon as your interconnection agreement has been submitted. Very important. Matter of fact, they don't even really allow you to submit it without your single line diagram. Missing a system size justifications. If you have an oversized system, and your system's over 120% or 100% of your current usage, you have to fill out a size justification form. Southern California Edison has that on their website. You guys can, find that and take care of that as well. Residential customers with system size up to 30 kilowatts may provide customer system size acknowledgement, which is a CSSA form. All customers may provide SE load justification forms. So it's not required, but you may provide a load justification form instead of the size justification form. So any equipment inconsistencies between the application and single line diagram, such as inverter panel selected on the application, not matching the single line diagram. So make sure, when you're submitting your single line diagrams, you're not just submitting a single line diagram with incorrect information on it. Next, any equipment inconsistencies. So again, inverters, if you're submitting microinverters, you want to make sure the microinverters match. If you're submitting a panel, you want to make sure your panels match the single line diagram. Those things are important. You want to make sure those things are not being swapped out. When there are multiple versions of the same equipment model and the single line diagram only contains a partial number, that could be a major deficiency. Electrical connection type not matching between the application and single line diagram. So if you're doing a low side connection, make sure that is accurate. If you're doing a line side connection, make sure it's accurate. For expansion requests, existing equipment on this application and single line diagram does not match the SE record. So if you have an existing system and you're expanding your system, and for some reason the existing system of record does not match the information the solar company provided you guys, that's going to be a major red flag for Edison, and your interconnection agreement will likely not be approved. So it's a very slippery slope there. Oh, and it says here, if equipment was verified on site, please make sure to note it on the applicant comments field. So minor deficiencies include, but not limited to, the following: SCE meter changes or account number changes. So if something changed, that's a minor deficiency, and your application may still be approved. Invalid customer email. So let's say the contractor used their email or domain in place of the customer's email domain. That is a minor deficiency. Undeliverable or bad emails, that's a minor deficiency. They're not going to penalize you guys for that. Incorrect customer email. So let's say you use Gmail versus Gmail, Gmail, you forget the I. That's a minor deficiency. They're not going to disapprove of your application because of situations like that. Customer name discrepancy. So major discrepancy is having the wrong name, but a minor discrepancy is like using something like James versus Jim. A lot of James and a lot of people named James go by Jim, so that's okay. Situations like that will be fine. Or Mike versus Michael. Those situations should be fine. Additional documents not listed as major deficiencies, all shown, may still be required by SE after the application is deemed valid. As an example, energy storage projects with the AC disconnect may be required to provide a plot plan document prior to SE issuing a permission to operate. So for some of you guys, once your system gets approved, an additional document you're going to have to submit is going to be the final building permit. So again, your contractor should be doing this, but you do want to understand what your contractor has to do when they're submitting these documents. And they should be aware of it. And technically, at this point in time, it's your system, it's your life. You need to be aware of it as well. How does a material modification affect my NEM application? So again, if you're going to be modifying something, first, let's explain what a material modification is. Any proposed change to an existing project or application after it has been deemed valid needs to be reviewed to determine if it's a material modification. So if they come back to you and say, hey, everything is great, and now you're making changes to the application, it needs to be determined by SCE if it's a material modification. So please refer to SCE's Electric Rule 21, Section E, modifications to existing equipment, to identify if a proposed modification is considered material or whether a new interconnection application is required. So examples of a non-material modification is going to be replacement of like for like. So if you're supposed to be using Canadian Solar 400-watt panels, and you have to change it to Q-Cell 400-watt panels, but the specs and all that are similar, and there's no increase to the system size, then that will be non-material modification. Or decrease of up to 20%. So you can go smaller by up to 20%. So if you decide that you don't want 50 panels and you only want to go with 30, well, I don't know if that's 20% ratio. Yeah, let's say if you decided you wanted 50 panels and you decided to go with, let's say, 45 panels, that's not going to be greater than the 20%. That's an example of a non-material modification. So examples of a material modification is an increase in the system size. So if you have 30 panels and you want to go to 32 panels, you're going to need to submit a new application. If you need to decrease more than 20%, probably going to need to submit a new application. If there's any decrease to avoid upgrades, you're going to need to submit a application. So please note that if a system is found to be material, it will require that a new interconnection request be submitted. So again, just repeating myself. Now let's explain what modifications may be proposed without losing NEM 2.0 eligibility. According to NEM 2.0, provisions an increase of up to 10% of the original project capacity or 1 kilowatt, whichever is larger, is allowed. Modifications without losing NEM 2.0 eligibility. However, SCE will accept any expansion of an existing NEM 2.0 project already issued permission to operate if proposed is before April 15, 2023. This means that if an existing NEM 2.0 project submits a complete expansion application without any major deficiencies prior to April 15, 2023, the system will retain NEM 2.0 eligibility. So again, any major changes after tonight, it could be a big deal. All right. So in addition to adding eligibility energy storage to an existing NEM 2.0 project or any in-flight NEM 2.0 application does not affect the project's eligibility. For NEM 2.0, regardless of whether the addition is proposed before or after April 15, 2023. Applicants can propose modifications for in-flight NEM 2.0 applications using the existing application in Power Clerk. So once submitted, SE will verify whether the proposed modifications is material and provide feedback as to whether the proposed modifications would trigger a loss of NEM 2.0 eligibility. SCE will also provide instructions on how to submit a new interconnection fee for material modifications. So keep that in mind. I have one more question that I recently got to, and these are also questions that were on Edison's website. So if you go to Power Clerk, and that website is SCE NEM SUCCESSORTARIFF.powerclerk.com. So if you go to that website, and I'll put it up on the screen and down in the comments down below, you can go to that website and you will be able to see the same document that I'm reading from right now. But this is a question that I recently got. There's a lot of things that has to happen between now and the time you get your granted permission to operate. So make sure that you guys are being grandfathered in. I've talked to a few of my real estate clients that were leaning into solar, and a few of them actually went with solar, and a few of you guys did not. But at the end of the day, hopefully you guys are able to take advantage of this. And if you guys have any questions about your NEM agreement and what that is, hopefully this video answers those questions. My name is Osiris, and planning your next move is easy with the right people in your corner. This is a quick video just to guys get you caught up on speed. Hopefully you guys can save your NEM 2.0 project, or at least have some peace of mind that your project was submitted in a proper format. So if you need a copy of your paperwork, I would contact your solar contractor to ask them to verify. All right, guys, peace.